Hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we'll continue our What If the World Went Wrong series. And in this episode, the ending of World War III has begun. With countless numbers of casualties, a major offensive is led by Ethiopia and allies. And, well, they managed to completely kick the red team out. Or the Russo Chinese alliance. They managed to quickly take back Tunisia, and they launch offensives across Africa, with a two-front Algeria war really breaking out. With legitimately, basically, they have surrendered, basically, but not all is controlled. With Libya's capital quickly falling, but then again, Libya is falling apart. With a breakthrough crossing the Suez and breakthroughs moving in from the south, with the Central African Republic being one of the first victims of this attack. With Sudan basically fully collapsing. Egypt collapses, and the line of control is to here. They move through here to get down to the front as they open up a front against Niger and Chad. As some lands that are probably not necessary to occupy are occupied, quickly the control becomes this, as Africa completely falls. With the next offensive being a pushback of Russia in Serbia. But just a pushback, not a full-on attack on them, because they're setting up for their next offensive, which will be either to liberate India or push out of the Middle East. Yeah. They even push up to Serbia, and they push up the Adriatic Sea coast. They're probably going to go after Serbia soon. Because, yeah, they've encircled the country, literally. As they've finally managed to do this, this is where Finland, with the help of Sweden and small amounts of American troops, and maybe a few Canadian troops, push them back. Along with a pushback here. And a pushback in Romania. And a pushback, yeah. Eventually, Russia is pushed back to this line of control. Eventually, this line of control breaks as an invasion of the Baltics happen. Ukraine is re-liberated. Ukraine will live to see another day. And, well, the Middle East offensive has begun. With a big offensive being launched into northern Iran, and Iranian troops holding back Iraq are overrun, with Khuzestan quickly falling. And this is the only region of Iran I literally know, besides the city of Tabriz and Tehran. With Tehran starting to get encircled, and Tehran falls. Eventually, this is what the line of control is. And as this is happening, India launches a counter-offensive against the Russo Chinese alliance holding in Pakistan. Because right now they're occupying the territory, with India managing to push it back, and they join into the Middle East offensive. With Kabul falling, and Afghanistan eventually falls, along with all of Iran. With invasions of Central Asia starting, not long after the invasion of Turkmenistan, the countries of Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan decide to just leave the war, as they realize this war is pointless. As pro-Western coups happen. So, the government was overthrown, I guess. Which makes this offensive easier, because now Russia can't send many troops easily. Because their troops have been told they must leave back to Russia. And not go through Kazakhstan to get out. With them deciding the fall of Indonesia is a necessity for continuation of this war. With the decision to overthrow Russia before China being made, with them liberating all of the islands, South Korea, and a big chunk of Vietnam and Malaysia has been re-liberated, with the line of control moving to there, and the decision to continue with the Russian front is decided upon, as they believe it's their best move towards victory, with them starting a new front in Russia, a front in the east, not the west, with them deciding to push towards the Dnieper in Belarus. Belarus is quickly overrun and at this point is taken over like a Russian puppet, with Minsk now falling. And, well, at this point, the whole country is pretty much fallen. Yep. And they pause this offensive as they go for an offensive in southern Ukraine. Or at least it is Ukraine, but it was taken over earlier. With the Baltic starting a small push. And Finland starts a push towards St. Petersburg, which stalls out, in a push to cut off this area of the peninsula, which falls. And then they manage to push Russia out of this region, with the Pacific Front expanding to include this area, which is Outer Manchukuo, I believe. Outer Manchuria is what it's called, or something. That's not the state name or region name. That's just a former name it once had, or a name you could call it, considering that's Manchukuo. I think I got saying something, but I don't know. But with Russia having trouble as the Siberian front starts actually having success, which is worrying Russia. With Japan moving into the harsh conditions of Russia, with America and Canada also doing the same, as they manage to take to here. And then they decide they'll continue to connect the two fronts. But due to supplies getting hard, getting to some of the further out regions of this occupation, they leave it at that, as that's really much all they can occupy, with the southern offensive being launched by America. The Russian forces, unable to push back, fall back significantly. In a movement here from southern Ukraine front, connects these two fronts, with them deciding to go a bit deeper into Russia. Yeah, maybe I should just get a bigger, make it, bigger for the bigger offense. With them pushing mostly deeper into Russia in the south, to get ready for southern offensive, which is a success. But Russia stubbornly in this region decides they won't surrender. And they manage to hold it like that for a few months, with an encirclement of St. Petersburg happening, although the encirclement was pretty quick as it fell. And then they moved into this region, which is, well, towards Moscow, I guess, with the Moscow offensive beginning. But they decide to stop the frontier as winter is about to happen. And the front towards Moscow is pushed back, but not too significantly, as they manage to hold their grounds where the West has pushed to. And the goal now, they're after taking a lot of territory, and this is a big alliance. So they were hoping Russia would surrender somewhere around now, but they didn't. And now they are in the Battle of Moscow. The Battle of Moscow is what they focus on, really, while they hold stalemate on all other fronts. Eventually, Moscow is to fall. And, well, at this point, this is where they are in the Russian front, where they start deciding, how has Russia not surrendered? Even when they're over here in this front, Russia has no chance of winning at this point, right? They're still fighting. with the front reaching the Ural Mountains. That means this front is basically just stalemated. With the helpless defense of Russia, and well, Russia has fallen. It was only a matter of time till this would happen. And a major offensive is launched by all nations against China. And some troops actually flood Mongolia for some reason, probably not that big of a deal. And a flood on this front, with very hard to get invasions there. So they decide to use other fronts to get their invasion across. With one front that they use is a Korean front, which moves towards Beijing but is quickly slowed. So then they decide to open it more up, going from Russia and taking over important areas. I don't even know what they are. And they managed to do that with a front going after Myanmar seeming likely, because it's easier than going through India to get to where it needs to go. With Thailand planning on annexing more land from Malaysia. In the next episode, we will have the treaties. It'll be a North American treaty, an African treaty, Middle East treaty, a Russia and a China treaty. As the tides have completely turned, with a big attack here in the south, eventually being stopped, so they use one for in Taiwan, one here, and one there. Why do they have so many landings? Well, to get a foothold in the ground. And they had 9 or 10, probably more. That wouldn't be shown because it failed and was too small. And well, the two fronts aren't connected though. And they use an attack through Mongolia, breaking out with many groups rebelling, with Tibet and Xinjiang being part of this rebellion. And the capital's under siege. And why is it so easy? Because every soldier basically on the red team has deserted at this point. And basically the capital has fallen with the fall of the Chinese Communist Party with a people's coup. But, guess what? This led to, well, a doomed failure. Because, the ideology of this new party is not really great. Because they still continue the war. But then a people's coup, which leads to democratic China, succeeds. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. In the next video, we will see the peace. So please like and subscribe. Bye, guys!